Now that all the new heroes have been released, a lot of people wanted to know, how does McGinnis fare against these new heroes? Unfortunately, not very good. At all. In fact, she's quite bad. Quite possibly the worst character in the game right now. It's been over a year and a half, and most of her prevalent bugs still have not been fixed. I mean, just take a look at these endless clips of bugs, and these are just the ones that I can think of from the top of my head. So, as you may or may not know, McGinnis is one of the most bugged characters in the game, and anyone who has been religiously playing this character would have encountered some of these bugs in some way, shape, or form. What you're seeing is only a fraction of the issues that she has, and just imagine playing this character for literally a year and a half, and the only real quality of life or bug fixes that we got was her heal, or second ability, and her other three abilities are just as bad as they were since 4 lanes was still a thing, or since the game went public. Yeah, it just feels horrible to play. Like, simply just using your wall the way it was intended can often lead to the wall just having holes in it, so the enemy can just walk right through instead of being trapped, or the wall disappears into the void, and now you've just wasted an ability that's on a 50-second cooldown that removes 1 stamina. Remember when Mina used to remove 2 stamina on her third ability on like an 8-second cooldown while doing infinity damage? Yeah, you can classify that as a literal stun or root mechanic, like, honestly. But wall, we can't have that doing more than, like 80 damage, let alone trapping players the way it's supposed to. Oh, yeah. Oh, this actually gets worse. This ability, it actually gets worse. Let me explain. So, with the introduction of lag compensation, trapping enemy players with the wall has become significantly harder. Like, significantly harder. They added this feature around the time Billy, Doorman, Victor, and all of them were released. Basically, the enemies have priority when it comes to escaping your wall before it pops. They literally no-clip through it or teleport through it as a result of lag compensation, in the enemy's favor, of course. And so in conjunction with lag compensation, it's near impossible to trap players, especially on the right side. You'd think that, well, it's a skill issue, good players can overcome that. Well, no. I can say with full confidence that I'm better at using wall than 99.95% of McGinnis players, and it is far from a skill issue. This ability is just fundamentally bugged and broken in an unintuitive way. I've tried everything from overcompensating for the wall, meaning you let it go a little further to trap enemies more reliably, which does not, it just doesn't work as well as you'd think, because they can still teleport through the wall with any type of dash, registering as a result of lag comp. So then I tried overcompensating, and the wall usually doesn't hit them at all. And then they just proceed to wall bounce off a nearby building and jump right over it, whether they got hit or not. So they also made the speed at which the wall comes out faster, but that also just griefs the accuracy at which the wall can be triggered, because it's a set distance for when it can be triggered. It's basically a hit or miss situation, heavily in the enemy's favor, since it's even harder to hit enemies more accurately while also taking lag compensation into consideration. This ability is just a mess. Her pick rate has reached an all-time low. Nobody wants to pick her, let alone play her. You can see that in the latest patch, she is the lowest pick rate in the game. Now granted, it's a pretty new patch, and the sample size is low, so let's take a look at the last 7 days instead. Again, her pick rate is not much better. Not to mention her win rate is slightly positive, but considering the low pick rate, pretty much only McGinnis mains are playing her, so it's far from accurate. It's also roughly the same for the last 14 days, even in Ascendant or Ascendant Plus bracket. In fact, when I checked the middle to lower brackets, her win rate was as low as 47 to 48%, which is pretty bad considering she used to be able to hold her own against a lot of the characters in the game. But these new characters are so strong that you literally just die if one of those characters get anywhere near you. Like Silver, for example, absolutely annihilate you through your heal, can AoE disarm, and extra resists plus headshot resistances while clawing your face open. Because you have no escape as one of the slowest characters in the game with 2 stamina. It's the same thing against Celeste. She just terrorizes you without ever touching the ground. Same with Apollo and a bunch of other heroes. McGinnis' entire kit is grounded, so you can't really put up a good fight against heroes that permanently float into the sky with most of your abilities. She is a grounded character, meaning every ability she has can only interact with the ground and heroes touching the ground. Your ult can't hit anyone who isn't grounded, even if they're just slightly above ground, so it just flat out does nothing sometimes. Your heal, did I say sometimes? Yeah, no, I didn't mean sometimes. Very often. Very often. Your heal has to be on the ground. Your wall, ground. Your turrets have to be on the ground as well, but this is her only ability that lets you interact with any character that, like hugs the skybox. So at least she has that going for her. Okay, so what about her gun? One of McGinnis' best tools was having a really good gun. But we are in one of the worst metas for gun characters right now. There's 2 M1 characters at the top of the win rate charts right now. Drifter, who sits at number 1, he's just like flat out broken with like a 55 to 57% win rate. And Haze, who hovers around 51 to 52% win rate. But again, this is just around the Eternus bracket. These 2 are M1 characters that can function in a meta dominated by spirit characters. And I don't even think Haze functions that much better as an M1. She just so happens to be really good at catching the newer heroes with, say, Dagger into CC, like, slowing Hex or, whatever other disables to bring them down. But even then, the new characters are still monsters. All in all, I think that if you're playing McGinnis right now, you're probably griefing your games. You're just like hard griefing your games. Just by picking her in her current state and the state of the game, McGinnis is unable to interact with a lot of the characters in the game. So you should probably not play her. But if you are some kind of masochist who wants to play this character, regardless of everything you've just heard and seen, there are a few ways to make her function, but it's subpar at best. You're better off just picking a better character. Okay, so you're a crazy person. I've identified 3 different ways for you to make her function, meaning you grief the game slightly less, which is better than fully griefing. And that is a type of tanky / green or gun / tank with a lot of health and resists before maximizing your gun capabilities, so orange items. This build archetype focuses heavily on buying resists, mainly a lot of spear resist followed by bullet resist, if you need it. Otherwise, Metal Skin does a pretty good job. We are in a spirit dominated meta for the most part, so normally you consider spirit resist more often than bullet resist. Depending on matchups, you can also build for bullet resist. And since you are a McGinnis, you are one of the slowest characters in the game, meaning you won't be able to escape from a fight once you're in. And since you can't really escape from fights, the only other option for you is just to tank everything. just tank everything while gunning down the enemies as much as possible. And since gun still scales pretty well, you'll still be doing like quite a lot of damage. And then you throw your hands together, and then you pray that your team can clean up after you absorb all their abilities, all of their active items, and you just like pray. You just pray that your team can take advantage of the space you've given them. Just don't be a fool and run into the enemy while your team is like halfway across the map or something. Otherwise, you're just feeding. The second way to play here is a type of turret hybrid. As we discussed before, the turrets are the only thing that can interact with the flying characters. I personally prefer a gun/turret hybrid build, or gun/turret hybrid, followed by a heal and then some CC, so it functions like a gun build early, giving you good authority on the game, and then later it transitions into a heal/turret/critter support/utility build. Now, I actually do have a build for this. In fact, I make a lot more builds than the two that you always see in the most popular list. You just need to type my name in and search for my PFB and check the latest build I put out, which won't be at the top. In this case, it's called Healing Tempo Rush. I've been testing this one for about a month, and it did very well against the Abrams or Viscous gun meta. And it's also carried over to this meta with the overpowered new monster characters. Again, this build relies on your team to clean up, but you still have a lot of gun authority with the build. So it's not like you completely rely on them to win you the game. But since you are making area of effect to make your heal bigger and cursing targets, so you're losing damage in return, and then stalling with cheat death, hopefully, they pull through for you. The third way to play here is a similar archetype as the turret hybrid build, but you lean more towards support. So it's closer to a turret support build rather than gun, because you're buying items like Suppressor or Mystic Slow or Sowing Hex while only buying 4,800 in gun items. Optionally, you can buy items like Guardian Ward, which builds into Divine Barrier, so it's just another build where you can rely on your team to get things done, because, McGinnis is incredibly power crept right now. So if you try to go a pure gun build or a pure spirit build, you're usually just going to be taken advantage of. So any gun/tank or hybrid/turret build is the way to go right now. A reminder that I do stream on twitch.tv/HellenDilly, so if you have any questions or need an updated build guide, drop a follow and come watch me suffer on this godforsaken character that I promised myself I wouldn't play, and then a patch rolls around, and then I play it, and then I realize I've broken a promise to myself, and then I keep to myself for nothing, and then I cry myself to sleep. Alright, take care, guys.